go right back to Zoom, and you're all set, Rich.
Thank you, Sharon. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, 18 December 2024, and this is a regular board meeting of the Waterville Valley Select Board. I am Rich Reader, the chair, joined today, as always, by Bob Freeze, the vice chair, and Wendy Rathgeber, Select Board member. We have a quorum. So I'm going to open up the meeting with a public hearing on the water and sewer fee structure. Could I have a motion to open the public hearing, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in public hearing on water and fee structure. I do not see anyone from the public here. Have we received any correspondence on the matter?
One piece of
Okay.
correspondence, if you'd like me to review
Please.
it.
Yep.
This is an email we received from Linda Coleman at Windsor Hill Condominiums, saying unfortunately she can't be here today. She's hoping we could share her concerns during the public hearing. She says, it appears that the new system relies on self-reporting of units. Our current system does.
I think
Okay.
there might be some.
And I
think she
think
got
that's the
confused.
Yeah.
confusion.
Yeah.
So the current system relies on self-reporting. We do have a process by which, when we're issuing a certificate of occupancy, we do an initial review of all of the properties. And it is based on numbers of whirlpool, tubs, water from refrigerators, ice makers, faucets, and other water connections in the house.
Mhm.
Per
The old
our
system.
point
Right.
schedule
Right,
that's
that's-
been posted.
That's what we're
Now-
replacing.
That is what we are replacing. I
There
think
is-
she saw that as the new
Right.
system.
Yeah.
Now, what we are changing to is basing the fee structure on the number of bedrooms and the number of bathrooms in each property. And
Residential property.
and
This is
residential
all
property,
residential.
all residential. And so that I think clears up most of her questions that
Right.
she has. And we are doing that because the number of bedrooms and number of bathrooms are tracked very closely by the town through our assessing process. Because it is an integral part of the property valuations here in town. So it is very clear the exact number of bedrooms and bathrooms in a property. And we have processes in place where if people take a bathroom out or they add a bathroom or whatever, that involves a building permit. And so we have a regular tracking mechanism
Right.
to take care of this.
And just to clarify further, condominiums are under commercial, right?
No, condominiums, the units
Oh, okay.
receive a flat rate water and sewer bill, just like every other residential property.
Okay,
The commercials are, how many of them now? 20? About 20 commercial properties are based on actual usage. And we have a meter in those. We take regular readings, monthly readings, and take care of it that way. Now, there was one other question that Linda had, which was about the readings and
Mhm.
why weren't we using actual water usage? So just to clarify, we've talked about it a couple of times before. We do have meters to the residential properties, but they are not a meter to every single residential property. In some cases, we just have a meter for a multi-dwelling building.
Right.
And so we were not able to put meters into every unit. So we cannot measure actual water usage. And because we have such a high number of second properties, there's a lot of times when properties are empty here in town. And so basing it on actual water usage would make those residents of the valley, their bills so much higher than everybody else's, it would not be affordable. We'd have to have a base rate
Mhm.
anyway. So, and the majority of the bill would be the base rate.
She also mentioned the Green Peak condominiums and the outside sprinkler systems.
Yeah,
Right.
right now, any water usage is tracked or is included in these flat rate fees, but the board has had a discussion.
I
Once
think I
we
wanna
make
continue
this
that. Right,
change,
I want to.
then we can look at having, we know the properties that have outdoor irrigation systems, and we can work out maybe a
Flat-
fee, a
yeah,
flat
flat
fee
fee, yeah.
for having those systems attached.
Should we be doing that right now?
Well,
While
well,
we're making the
Well, the
change?
change right now is just on the calculation of the residential fee. So I think that's a separate discussion, because we have not provided you with any information about where those systems are that we know about. And we would need to come up with a recommendation for you on that flat rate charge, unless you want to just
Do it,
set
yeah.
one.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we, as soon as we're done with Linda's letter, check and see if there are any other online comments? If there are no online comments from anybody, we'll close the public hearing and then we can discuss moving to the new system among ourselves, and then include in that discussion
Okay,
Okay,
that
All right.
commercially
Yep.
installed residential irrigation systems,
okay,
come up with the, I guess, the more formal way of
Yeah.
of saying it. So was there anything else in Linda's
nothing, I think that
letter that we
covered
covered? So
everything. Yeah.
hopefully we assuage your concerns. Much of what she said was, I think she just misunderstood what we,
Yeah.
we actually were moving in a direction that she
She
wanted
was
us
she was,
to move
wanting
in.
us to,
And if
yeah.
there's still no one here, and there are no online comments,
does it make sense to close out this portion? Why don't we discuss this?
I'm just closing the public hearing, and then we can discuss it.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah.
But it's also
Technical
so they could start the billing for next year, right, for the calendar year?
yeah,
yeah,
we'll
we
have
want
that
to
discussion.
try to do
Right.
that. Yeah.
Right.
So that's why we wanna like get the billing.
Yeah, no, we'll do that. I just want to close,
Okay.
it's a technical thing, just to close the public hearing. And now we can talk among ourselves, having heard from the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have, not so
We
much
have,
today, but
yeah.
we have. All right, so I mean, I agree with Bob. That's one of the issues I had with it, about including commercially installed residential irrigation systems. But I think first we do need to vote, discuss, if we need more discussion, and vote on whether we want to change our system from the point system to the bedroom bathroom system as the basis of water and sewer billing system, and whether we agree with the amounts. I think that were proposed that would basically even out the budget for 2024.
Correct.
Didn't
They are
say that
added-
quite right, but right.
They are at an amount for water per bedroom and bathroom,
Right.
and then an amount for
For
sewer
sewer.
per bedroom and bathroom.
That will end us up with the same bottom line number
Yeah,
that we
those-
had.
Do you have the numbers?
It was
It's
17.
Seventeen
No,
point seven one times the number of bedrooms.
That's
and
the
number of
water.
bathrooms. And sewer is 22.15 times the number
Right.
of bedrooms.
Bedrooms
and
And that would keep us at our projected
2024.
2024 budget. So is there any other further discussion that the board would like to have before voting on this?
Mm-mm.
Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved. I move that we adopt the new system of bedrooms and bathrooms for sewer and water in residential buildings.
By Chuck President,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that, it implied in that is that the numbers that keep us essentially level with 2024 projections. So now that we are, and that the new
Will
bills
go
will
in
start
effect
on,
for first quarter of 2025.
so people will see their bills in April.
April.
For the first quarter of 2025 under the new system.
Yeah.
And yeah, there were a couple other issues now that we have this new system. I think we've gotten a lot of comment from folks in town about the commercially installed residential irrigation
It
systems. I
seems
think there
like
should be a
we could
surcharge.
ask the staff to come up with a proposal in the next month or so, and then
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
could, because
Decide,
nobody's running sprinklers this time of the
Yeah,
year.
No, and
no, but they are noticeable.
I mean,
Yeah.
the way I'd like to
Yeah.
initially
Yeah.
approach it, if it's all right with you, is to have a annual fee, we can break it into quarterly
Right,
charges.
right.
But just having a
A flat
base,
fee. for
flat fee
These systems.
for having that system available at your house, and we'll look at what we could estimate what a typical user could use. And it'll really vary because they're different sizes and everything. But I think we can come up with something where
Right.
we can
At
have
the
a
water
single
rate.
number.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
though, Because we're not meant to have our own privately dug wells on our property, so, right? Is that?
Well, you can,
Yeah, you can.
you just can't connect it to the public water system.
Okay,
And so inside a lot of homes, they've set up the irrigation systems, but it actually comes off their water service. And so we could not let them connect that irrigation system. It would have to be totally separated.
okay,
If they had a well for the
And they would have
irrigation.
to let us have access to ensure that it is a completely separate system
right,
with a
that
backflow
is-
preventer, installed and
Yeah,
everything.
it's to make sure there's no cross contamination,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
okay,
One thing that I want to point out though about this is if we're gonna do this for residential, commercial should have something that's the same idea, but maybe even more, what's the word I'm looking for?
More deep-
Justifies,
yeah.
if they're gonna utilize it for, because, I mean, a
Are they-
commercial is gonna get charged, it's still a relatively low fee or rate
Right.
per gallon.
But they're charged right by usage.
They are, but the problem with that is there's still no incentive. I mean, the whole intent of this discussion, at least as I can understand it, is to discourage the utilization of our resource and not have a penalty for doing such. If they're just gonna be,
Okay,
if they're being billed, like they're using it for doing laundry or washing dishes or whatever, there's nothing to discourage them or to encourage them to partake in water conservation. If that's the motivation that we have, then it needs to be looked at differently. That's my point. at least.
Okay.
Mm,
well, certainly something to think about over the next few weeks, if we want to include commercials into the.
And we'll have
into
to
this
find
fee.
some templates for you about how other communities are doing it,
Yeah,
because I know that there are differing rates. Like for the water usage, and you could put a meter on the irrigation system and have a separate fee for that, a different, different water rate.
mm,
There are a couple of different ways we can approach it. We'll get you some examples of
Okay,
how other.
it seems to me that maybe we ought to be billing during, the second and third quarters of a year as opposed to the first and fourth or all four, because
Yep,
somebody could have a system that we bill them in January or for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
And then they don't use it, or, we could have a system where if we have a water shortage and we're not allowing anybody to use sprinklers in a given year, we don't bill them for that year because we're not allowing them to use it.
right.
I think there's things like that we should think about.
it's a little bit
Yeah.
more complex than just assigning a flat fee
Yeah,
to
and it may
residential.
be, I mean, we may want to have actual metered
It
usage
may be,
for that
right,
system. We'll have to think about this and look at how other towns. do it
sure.
too.
I mean, with
Right.
regard to water restrictions, that's something we do, so we can also at the same time. I'm not sure if forgive is the right word, but we could forgive any payment if we establish a water restriction.
Yeah,
for-
absolutely.
At that time.
You can
That's what I'm
abate
saying,
that,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can
abate-
abate that.
Abate that
or,
at that
yeah,
time
just not include it
Right,
during, but we gotta figure out all of that wording.
to make it
well,
work.
let's try to do it in the next, before
Spring.
March or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think we're all in agreement. We do want to we want to include something
For the irrigation.
for the
system.
irrigation.
Is there anything else like that, like irrigation, that we ought to be thinking about? I mean, is that a one-off, or is
No.
there something else like that we ought to?
No, I think that's truly the only issue. The only other thing that should be considered if we want to stop irrigation or discourage it strongly. The select board has the power to put a water ban into effect whenever they choose.
Right.
That's what we adopted a few years ago.
right,
You could put a water ban into effect in
July
May,
and August of every year.
and have it
yeah.
expire in October.
Yeah,
That's what a lot of towns do that.
Right.
Just to protect the resource as, I'm not saying
Right.
that fits our application, fits our town.
It would be a little bit more complicated for us because of businesses that need it and that operate in the summer.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can understand that, but
So-
and that's where I was going though before.
Right.
Enforcing it on commercials as well, because we do have quite a few commercials that's basically what their primary.
Right.
What
Yeah.
keeps their business going.
There's certainly
Yeah.
something to look at. The other thing I thought of, there are actually a couple other things, but getting back to the bedroom
And
and
bathroom.
bathroom use. How are we going to deal with someone who comes in and says, that's no longer a bedroom, I converted it into an office? How are we gonna define a bedroom as someone? You know, if you don't want to get
Then
into
the
checking for
assessors,
sleeping.
Basically, the
area.
then
assessor-
the assessors
So the
will
original,
have to verify
the next
they-
time they're out,
the next time they're out or whatever, but yeah.
right, 'cause we don't want to go in and say, yes, this is now no longer a
No,
bedroom.
we consider it a bedroom if it has a closet.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, that makes it very
and the
simple.
assessors are the same, I believe the assessors are the same
Right.
way.
Is that statewide or is
Yep.
that the standard?
That's the basic
Uh,
standard.
A room with no plumbing but has a closet?
Yep,
Is that essentially it?
Yep.
Heating element, I
Yeah,
suppose.
Yeah, no plumbing
window.
and no internal closet. So when we inspect those spaces, if it has a closet, it's considered a bedroom. Or could be a bedroom, it's always a bedroom.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can adopt
So,
that standard,
Because no matter if they convert it or not, because you could just
right.
convert it back.
throw a bed in there, and if it does have a closet, then it's required to have a smoke detector and egress. You know, then it has to
Yep.
follow egress, so if it has a closet where we have just recently, people are building spaces like in basements.
Mm-hmm,
We don't allow them to build closets in those spaces. Because they wouldn't qualify for the egress requirements to be a bedroom.
Right.
So they can finish the room, it just can't have a closet. We would require them to have smoke detectors, that sort of thing, so. If it has a closet, it's a bedroom and it will always be a bedroom.
all
And
right,
the
I mean, that's a simple
assessors-
standard
The
then.
assessors take
Yeah,
however they classify it, that's what goes into the assessing records. And then if we're doing a complete reval with data,
if someone
update,
wants it,
they can, if they're allowed to
They've-
walk through, they can.
and they've
verify.
renovated so that it's no longer a bedroom. Then it
Then
can
they
come
would
up,
have to call him to get it
the
removed.
permit, so, all right, so we have a standard for a bedroom.
Yeah.
And something to base it on, that's,
Yep.
I just didn't want to get the flood of
And it,
calls that, you
Yeah.
know. Cause
yeah,
I
this
have
is-
5 bedrooms, but we
Yeah.
only have 2 really.
Right.
The other 3 are something else.
yeah,
So I can't call up and say, I only
You
have 2
can't.
bedrooms.
no,
Okay, oh well.
if there are closets in those rooms. In those
Yes, yes, and yes,
You got a 5-bedroom house.
I have a 5-bedroom house, all
So
right.
we'll add the, to our to-do list.
Yep.
We'll add the,
The other thing is, and this is going a little far afield, but I'm just trying to plug any loopholes. Outdoor pools or jacuzzis, do we want to deal with those differently? I don't think anybody has,
Well, there's some,
they're outdoor jacuzzis, but I mean, that to me, that's like,
yeah, a big,
you could have a jacuzzi
Yeah.
tub in your house, so. I don't see but I don't think anybody has any,
yes, there is,
is there a pool?
Mhm.
Oh, really? Where is it?
above BBTS, one of those 2 houses up.
Oh,
on the hill.
really? I never knew that. So how do we want to deal with that? I'm not advocating anything. I just wanted, as I said, closing any potential questions that may come away that I could think of at this time. So we'll leave jacuzzis out, yeah? I mean,
Yeah.
it's because we don't deal with them indoors. Why would we deal with them outdoors?
I think those it isn't meaningful, it isn't a huge
This is
amount of
residential
water,
pool,
it's
right.
residential use, and the residential use and the ability or the potential use of water and sewer facilities are really controlled by that number of bedrooms and baths. And I think that that's the fairest
Mhm.
way to do it, that we can maintain our records to the
Cleanest
best.
way. It's very
cleanest
simple.
way.
We have a definition of bedrooms.
Yeah,
Bathrooms are obvious what they
Yeah.
are.
I mean, if we have
Yeah.
one property that has a small pool
It's not
indoors,
worth-
it's
right.
not, I don't.
It's not
think
an
that
issue.
It's an issue, and you have indoor and
right.
outdoor jacuzzis,
not an
so I
issue.
don't think it's an issue.
All
I
right.
got a goldfish pond.
Yep, there you go. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you don't want to put city water in there.
Right, yeah.
All right,
Right.
so the other thing we're gonna look at then is the
Outside irrigation.
outside
Yeah,
irrigation,
I'll add
focusing
it
on the
to our
residential,
list.
but taking a look at commercial as well. All right. Very good. All right, so I think that takes us, and that also takes the old business 5B off the agenda. Privilege of the floor, I do not see anybody here. And so what I would like to do now is move to 4C. Do you have that document for Bob
I did.
to sign?
Did it already.
All right,
That's it.
This will be framed later. And
all right.
presented.
Sharon, we have something to present to you. So I'd like you to come up and make sure I get this right. Make sure I get your last name right. And I probably said a different way. What way would you prefer?
Sharon.
Sharon? Okay, not the Sharon, but a Sharon. Okay.
Sure.
You gotta move, oh, you do. Everybody ready? All right, so the town of Waterville Valley, New Hampshire, 18 December 2024. To all who see these presents, greetings. Whereas Sharon has served the community of Waterville Valley as Associate Town Clerk and Executive Assistant to the Select Board for more than 12 years. And whereas Sharon has provided exceptional customer service to the residents, taxpayers, resort visitors, and town staff while providing a myriad of administrative support functions covering all aspects of the town. And whereas Sharon has single-handedly ensured that residents have reliable information regarding operations ranging from motor vehicle registrations to voting, marriage, licenses, taxes, and community events whenever they needed it. And whereas Sharon has been able to provide an answer to or find information for thousands who have called or come into Waterville Valley town offices or participated in town-sponsored public events during her tenure. And whereas Sharon's service to town residents, property owners, visitors, and municipal staff has always been to the highest standard and delivered with true care in the finest traditions of the town of Waterville Valley in public service in New Hampshire. Now, therefore, the undersigned Waterville Valley Select Board proclaimed December 18, 2024 as Sharon Day in Waterville Valley and wish Sharon the best in all her future endeavors. Signed this 18th day of December, the year of our Lord, 2024. And have all the Select Board signatures. It's not framed, so I'm going to hold it up like this, and congratulations. I will give this to you, but I'm sure you can give it back to Steve, get it
Well,
framed nicely for you. But
thank you very much.
Absolutely.
thank you, and we look
Thank you.
forward to
Sharon,
Thank you.
seeing you. Today is Sharon Day, and look forward to seeing the folks here and any folks
Forward.
listening.
To sharing the Sharon Day.
All right, well, hopefully some Sharon at 4 o'clock, right?
Yes,
Great, all right,
Yeah.
thank you.
thank you, Rich.
My pleasure.
Thank you all.
So just to be clear, at 4 o'clock today, from 4 to 6 at the Freestyle Lounge is a Sharon recognition party
absolutely. Yep,
for anybody that's listening.
Yeah, please come by and recognize Sharon with a glass of your favorite beverage and finger food.
absolutely.
Okay, so let's get back to new business. Community power warrant article requests. I do not see anybody here from.
She will be here later
Oh,
as soon
that's-
as school gets out.
Okay,
because
so
we're-
we will, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot you had mentioned that to
Yeah.
me. Transit agreement. Okay, so we received on 9 December, at least the select board. I received the memorandum of agreement, the yearly agreement we have with the Waterville Valley Ski Resort and the Waterville Valley Resort Association on sharing the cost of the transit bus that moves around town during the year. And why don't I just open it up for discussion? I don't know if you wanted to talk.
I put it on this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Well-
wanted to.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
go ahead.
additional information, Bob, that sheet of paper right there was some additional information from the ski resort.
We just received this morning, or I just
The
received this
WVR.
morning.
The
at
resort, which is
WVRA.
one of the parties to the agreement.
Yes. And I hadn't seen it prior to this morning, so I'm not sure how the lines of communication went. But basically, it seems to address the larger increases.
The bottom line numbers we were provided, without the sort of explanation we see now in this piece of paper.
Right, which does make it a bit more understandable. So this morning, the Resort Association Board met and voted to accept the agreement with the caveat that we start communications earlier. Like perhaps even October, or October was what was suggested, what was.
I think the agreement calls for 15 November.
Yes, but we kind of amended it. It seemed to me,
Want it
and
earlier?
I kind of made this suggestion. It seems to me that there's no reason why we can't have a party from each organization sit down together and talk through what's going on, what's happened in the
Sure.
past year. It seems like we keep getting the nth hour document, and it feels like it creates more angst and upset between parties than it ought to. I
Right.
think we're all moving in the same direction, where this is a great amenity for both visitors and residents and property owners alike. So, but it just keeps feeling like an edict handed down on high, and I doubt that's the intention. So anyway,
So you'd
The
like to
thought
move
was-
that,
to even October if possible. I
Right.
understand they have some usages of the buses and,
Right.
but at least there's better
right,
communication.
and we could still keep the language in the agreement which says that the resort, ski resort will present. I think the way it says it here, by November 15, annually no later than November 15, commencing with 2024 WVSR shall propose to the parties a revised and updated transit service schedule and annual operating budget along
Right.
with the schedule.
Yeah, the actual
the
numbers,
costs.
I think that's,
November.
and
by
perhaps
November.
perhaps starting in October, we'll get it in November instead
Right,
of,
you have a meeting in
almost
October to talk it
mid-December.
through a little bit so they can put together the agreement for November, which
Right.
was really, I think, at the town's insistence, right,
November.
we wanted November because of the way our budgeting and town meeting works
Right.
for us.
And
I think
same
it's a
for the
great
Resort
idea.
Association, we need to get our budget resolved by December. I mean,
Okay.
this is really last minute.
I think it's a great idea.
And then the other stipulation was a bit more clarity on any refunds due. I tried to work through the math, and I
Mhm.
could definitely be incorrect on this, but it seems to me that the Resort Association and the town are due a nominal amount refunds back. But
Very
it
small.
seems like that type of communication should be more readily forthcoming and probably could be addressed as part of the October.
Part of the October
meeting.
meeting, so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great idea. Do you think we should or need to write it into the agreement that parties will have a meeting, in October? I think we
I
should,
think.
I think.
Yeah,
I
I'd
would,
like
as,
to.
as for the town's part,
What do you?
I know you
think?
probably have other comments, Bob, but just on that one point, would you agree to like an October meeting among the parties?
Sure.
All right, so we'd agree with the Resort Association on that.
So,
Bob, did you want to make any
well,
comments?
I'm reading this for the first time.
I
but
know,
there's-
I know.
there's-
We don't have to vote on it today.
General
Although we
operating
should,
supplies is up 120% from
Yeah.
last year's actual.
Right,
And in number one, she really doesn't address why it's up. I mean, they have a new tracking system.
yeah.
And
I-
tablets.
I think it's.
You
the
think that's
tracking
why it's up?
system. From what I understand. Yeah,
I mean, I think a tracking system is probably a good idea, but
yeah.
That was like about a $4,000 increase. I'm sorry, we don't have anything up on the screen to show folks, but that was a roughly a $4,000, $4,100 increase.
I mean,
$200.
the depreciation on the buses makes sense if they're getting a new bus. it's hard to believe the insurance went up
Yes.
that much, but
Yes. And she did state that they'd be shopping around, but I think they're in a contract. From what is
Yeah.
written.
Actually, I thought, I thought otherwise, I mean, just, I don't know what it's like for commercial vehicles or a bus like this. But I know auto insurance, vehicle insurance this year has gone crazy
Hmm,
in terms of increases, but their increase here is eye-popping.
yeah,
They went from what, 98.67 to 34,311.
when do we renew on our vehicles?
We are,
June,
Pardon me?
it's a July to June.
Oh,
Yeah. So did you see anything, comparable?
we already have estimates. They're not bad.
Oh, I,
I forget the
sub
percentages.
5%.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
really?
was-
Wow.
Yeah.
But you didn't see
But
a big one the year before? Interesting.
Our insurance is a little bit different. It's a total policy.
Oh, okay, you
So
covering
all
other
of our
things.
property liability
All right,
is
so it's all
wrapped
rolled
into
in, right.
vehicles, and so we don't have separate.
Separate, that obviously would make a
Yeah.
big difference. And we went from what was the amount we paid, just for the record, so people can hear it who are listening? What was the amount we paid last year
per month?
per month?
from what-
And what's the amount that they're asking for this year from both the town and the Resort Association? Let's get that out on the record. I see,
Something like 4,700 or something?
Where is it? No, 55 something. Where is it?
yeah, it was kind
It's
of
in
hard to
there.
find, yeah. They're asking now for 6,183 per month. For a total annual of 74,199 from the town and the same amount from the Resort Association.
I'm being blind. I don't
And
see
their
it.
amount will be 148,398, the other 50%.
And our current monthly billing is $5,489.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking roughly at a $700 a month increase for the calendar year 2025. And the Resort Association has agreed to this with the provision or the caveat that we had a October meeting to go over
Right.
the upcoming submission as required by the current argument.
And
And-
it's still presented to the town meeting in the same way within the operating budget,
That's the question.
Well, that's the other question in front of us.
Rather than
rather than a separate warrant article.
I don't
I
know.
think so.
Keep it in the budget.
I mean, it is an important amenity, but we just,
Right. I mean, it's not a transit system per se. I mean, I don't know of
Yeah,
any
it's not a
residents who use,
separate operation. It-
property
yeah.
owners and residents do use it,
yeah,
especially during the ski season.
right.
So they are getting their use out of it, and frankly, $74,000. Again, if it does feel a little bit like an ultimatum, the way it comes and it comes late, but a $74,000 is
I think we
9 cents
ought
on the
to,
thousand for a property owner.
Yeah.
I think we ought to also say to them, we hope that they get a better insurance rate
Yes.
next year and
Yeah.
that we see this coming down next year.
Well, it sounds like that's their expectation from what was written under 4A.
Okay,
They said their insurance renews on 1 September. There's that they're gonna start looking in January, February to see about possibilities of insurance renewals prior to September. That would still cover, if we had an October meeting, I mean, we could
Yeah.
go over whatever number they've come up with.
Yeah.
Guess that works. All right, anybody have anything further they'd like to say about it?
I reluctantly move that we accept it.
I reluctantly second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The votes just say yay or nay, they don't have a.
No wait or sign.
No maybe,
no maybes.
no maybes.
He gulped before he voted.
The gulp we were voted. All right, so well, you folks, I'm sorry, was the Resort Association gonna go back and request an October meeting, or should the town go in and make the change to the,
I think if both entities do.
all right, both of us do it
Right.
and get something set up? And then add it to the agreement. Should be a simple add,
It
right?
should be.
Okay. And takes care of the transit agreement. Definition. Let's move on to old business. So the final review of the Public Works Highway regulations. Is there anything more that anyone on the board would like to say about it? And if not, there's no discussion. As the chief of Public Works, care to add anything at this point before we vote? On the highway regulations?
I can't read it one more time. So
I don't want to read it one more time. All right, so a motion to approve the revised highway regulations
So moved.
and a second.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Phew. Anything to add on the moving along, the wastewater treatment facility project update?
Yeah, I included in the packet, some information. We, have received, a diagram from, the Black and Veatch engineers, regarding, some borings, test borings that, we need to, have done, on the, parcel beside the existing wastewater treatment plant between Triple I Road and the existing plant. I provided you with a copy of an aerial
Mhm.
map
Mhm.
that shows where those boring locations are. When Dylan and I received this map from the engineers, we noticed the rectangles, squares and circles on here.
Mhm.
They look suspiciously like buildings. So we
Yeah,
had
you would
a,
assume that's what they
we
are,
had a
right?
Teams meeting with Will Walkup from Black and Veatch, and they are in fact buildings and tanks.
Mhm.
So this is a confirmation from them that this is a general layout for the plant and the location of the associated buildings with the project. We raised some concerns, the proximity of what appears to be the Headworks building right next to the DPW garage, the other small building and tank by the existing plant, and those sorts of things, you know, there are a lot of considerations here with this layout.
Mm.
We have requested a meeting with them to start listing out all of these concerns so they can start getting us additional
Mhm.
information. You know, there's the potential here to interfere with our vehicle fuel point. There's, you know, access to the existing plant.
Mhm.
And a whole bunch of questions that we have. Anything to add to that?
Well, I mean, jumping in, the bigger short-term issue, I think that's,
Well, that's next.
I
Yeah,
mean, other than that, I mean, really, it's gonna affect police and fire.
Right.
Get the ladder truck, things of that nature, stuff like that, they can turn on a dime. So, you know, if clean water lanes access is just
disrupted.
discontinued or disrupted, that will affect, and it'll affect town operation as a whole. So to Mark's point, we did point out those concerns, and they're understanding it.
But you're in discussion with them.
We're
about
in
these.
discussion with them. We just wanted you to know that we're doing it. So the second and the more immediate issue is they need to get a tracked vehicle to each one of these sites to do the boring. It's a drill.
Mm.
And so it's a good sized vehicle. So they want at minimum a 9-foot wide path completely cleared so that this tracked vehicle can reach each one of these drill points. When we looked at it and we started drawing a 9-foot wide path to all these places, we are basically going to ask them to clear most, if not all, of that lot. The trees over there are, it's not like a mature forest where you're just gonna go in and cut a couple of trees. This is brush, it's very thick.
This is the lot that we purchased from
From Tyrell. right?
Tyrell.
So B1, does that mean boring one?
Boring one, yeah. So, so Dylan and I wanted to get this out. We wanna make you aware that we've asked the engineers to come up with a specification sheet of exactly what they want cut. And we will prepare a request for bid, because our crew will not be able to clear this property. We need to get a logger or a tree removal company to do this. We think, with the timing, they need these borings to continue with the design work. So we're looking at timing being this winter, while the ground is frozen, they'll have the best access out there. But we would take input from the loggers or anyone who would want to bid on that. But we would be doing this sooner rather than later.
So you're gonna get a clarification of the building locations first?
Well, what he told us was
These are
they
the
can
ideal,
move
yeah.
a little bit, but they need these boring sites.
Anyway.
And then if a building moves 10 or 20 feet in any particular direction, they feel that if they do these borings, they'll have enough subsurface information for their civil engineers to continue with the design work.
I mean, the three of them, I think we expected, that are gonna go into that lot, we kind of expected
Yeah,
at least a couple buildings
well,
there.
all of these we expected.
Expected, the
We
one
were
close
just
to
a
the-
little bit surprised with the
Right.
one that's
By the
most touching the
DPW.
DPW
Yeah.
garage. That's the one
Yeah.
we have probably the most, because that's also the one that interferes with the fuel point.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at B4, 5, 9, 10, and 11.
Yep.
That are the ones closest to the road.
Yeah.
If that's not where the buildings are gonna go. It seems to me we'd be better off not to clear cut those, make a
Well,
9 foot path into there so we could leave some tree cover.
Yeah,
Yeah, those buildings are gonna go near those. Like
Certainly the two
within
big
a
ones,
few
right, in
feet
the
of
back.
those. I think what our goal will be is whatever we do cut down, we will leave a buffer along Triple I Road this year. But at some point, all the trees will come out of there for construction purposes. They will.
I think we should leave what we can as a buffer.
We will,
Yeah,
um,
one of the issues, and again, I agree that we need to maintain a buffer, but one of the issues is the tree cover that's in there, most of it's dead or dying. It's not like it's a healthy forest, so the
Yeah.
issue that may be is, once you start moving trees out of there, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen to what's standing. There's a lot of standing dead in there, and a lot of it is like pretty poor condition
about the
pine
lighting?
and hemlock, so.
they'll work around it.
Yeah, anyway, point I'm making is, I mean, what we gotta look at as well, because there's no scale on this.
Mm.
It makes it appear that that's a lot of like tree line that would be remaining. It's really not in the grand scheme of things. You gotta think, some of these buildings are, my guess be somewhere close to 80 feet long. The biggest building close to 80 feet long. So if you put, if you take that into consideration when you look at this aerial view, I mean, that's like, it would give us a very, very thin buffer along that site.
Hmm.
Because there needs to be access, as Mark mentioned, for equipment to get in and out.
And
So-
there's a
construction.
road access that will
Right.
need to come off Triple I Road.
Transfer station needs to be.
The
in
transfer
operation.
station we need to understand how close they're gonna get to clean water lanes so that we have access to the transfer station gate. And our maintenance of the transfer station going forward. So there's still a lot of unknowns. This is another step forward, and it it appears to us, and Mario has been on vacation, so we have not had a chance to talk to him personally about this, but it seems like they are getting closer and closer to actual building positions. So,
My only point is if we can leave any buffer, we should.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Certainly over the
we-
winter,
absolutely.
Well,
and then replace whatever we need to replace. Because the new buildings will go in and,
Well.
all right,
That can be done as
let's
part of
not-
the site
just Let's not
Right.
clear cut it right up to the road.
No, we're not
Yeah.
gonna, no, our
That's-
intent
that's
is
my
to
only
leave what
request.
we,
Okay.
is to leave what we can.
The other side of this too is that their request to treat the town, Black and Beaches, was a much quicker timeline than what.
They wanted us to do it last week and
Yeah.
we said. no.
yeah,
So
So,
we just wanted to make sure obviously that we had the opportunity to come to the board. And
okay.
so
So, assuming we give you the approval, when do you think this is going to happen? You have to check and see who's available.
Yeah, we don't have the document from them. We can't put a request for bid out, but
Yeah.
it won't be until probably February, maybe March.
I just look at the reaction we got on Tecumseh
Well,
Road, so let's
I
try to
agree.
Right,
and
avoid clear cutting it.
yeah,
so,
and B10 and B11, they aren't part of like little rectangles, or is that like, are you assuming for alternate?
They are
In case you
probably
need
an
to
alternate
move
site.
things?
Yep.
Hmm.
Okay,
I just think a lot's gonna come out when you start constructing, it's not just the borings, but it's
Yeah.
construction of these buildings.
Yeah,
All right, so are we okay with, authorizing, once
Yeah, we'll
town
we'll
manager
put it out
gets
to
the
bid and
documents, put out the
you'll
bid, see
get,
what,
you'll see the bid.
and we'll see what the
results.
cost is, and all of which will come out of the
Project. cost.
project costs.
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, we'll keep.
Anything
moving-
else on this?
we'll keep
Good,
Moving forward with it.
so we cutting and stumping as well?
Well, that's what we need the engineers to tell us that on the spec sheet.
That-
We need to know that. 'cause
Yeah.
Will was not able to tell us.
in there as well, Bob, to your point, that was one of the discussions that we had with the engineer. There's a lot of granite or just.
There's a lot of
ledge in
Right.
general.
boulders, ledge, there's a lot of,
stuff,
Yeah.
Stuff.
beside
Yeah.
trees in
Yeah.
there,
that's correct.
we good?
Hmm.
All right, do we want to go ahead with the department head reports, instead of keeping them for the coalition
Yeah.
community update?
Yep.
All righty. Chief Noyes, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good. What's happening in town? You probably know more than anybody.
No, we just,
You or Patrick or both of you.
upticking calls,
Yeah.
with the season and the conditions and so on and so forth, so, just been busy with that. We've wrapped up the last, CEO, certificate of occupancy for Green Peak. And we finished the re-inspections up at the mountain.
Don't they need for that one, those condos, don't they need that exit stairway on the side of the building?
No, this
Oh, that's
is,
Green Peak.
Green Peak.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not Golden.
Oh, I'm sorry,
No.
We'll get to Golden.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They're still working. We did, two rough, plumbing and electrical framing.
Which one is that?
Inspections for, in Golden Heights.
In Golden?
Yep.
But Green Peak,
They still got first, but Green Peak, they finished up their last one.
I'm sorry, I had the wrong place.
Yeah, the one that we're, the other thing we're waiting for is just the as-built, but. We'll get those from Matt. Soon, hopefully. But other than that, just been doing, some. Water station, trying to get some truck maintenance. You notice we'll take advantage of the warm days. And wash vehicles outside so we don't. Try to reduce the impact on the. Drain
Drains.
system. We did get a
such as it
quote
is.
back
Yeah.
from Dana White,
Yeah.
for repairing the drain. And recommended a 1,500 gallon sand oil separator.
Mhm.
And then out to daylight. Very conveniently, Steve shared some ARPA money that Grafton County is looking to fund projects. They got about $500,000 that's open to all towns in Grafton County. And it was due in like 2 days, so it was convenient. I said, well, here's a project that we would like to get funded, and we submitted that project to possibly get funded through some ARPA money that
Great.
Grafton County is looking to get rid of, and I guess we'll hear, he said that they were gonna let us know by December 31st.
Well,
Wow,
If they
That'd be
decide.
great.
So within the next couple of weeks, we'll know
nice.
if that's a project, and of course, we wouldn't be looking to do anything till spring. But other than that, really not much else to.
What's the deal on that Jeep that's been there for a week on, outside the valley?
So we actually turned that over to the Forest Service, because the Forest Service is the one that's going to, so it's broken down, the person doesn't have any money,
There's nobody in it,
there's nobody in it, no.
Where is this?
It's abandoned.
halfway outside the town. It's
Oh.
packed. It's been there for a week.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's abandoned, Forest Service is giving them 14 days, or they are going to remove it.
And then bill them someone who can't pay,
Yeah,
basically.
so we're trying to give them a little latitude, we usually have them move because those pull-offs are plowed, and do get maintained, but, seems like this individual's a little down on their luck, so we're trying to buy them a little extra time to, take care of it. But the Forest Service did come by and said, we'll take care of it, we'll give him 14 days and we'll remove it if that's the case. I just didn't want us to be stuck with the bill if we had to get it removed, so it is off the road and it's.
Yeah.
You know, but we do get a lot of inquiries about it,
Oh,
but that's the latest update.
Guess I gotta get out of town.
I know, me too.
You gotta draw them more often.
Yeah, I guess.
You drove by it at least 4 or 5 times.
Guess I better go back to my optometrist. Great. Anything else of note?
I don't believe so, unless there's any questions on my update.
Ready for the big week next week? It'd be a little longer this year, yeah, right? I mean, I think Massachusetts is
Yeah.
all of that week plus
Yeah,
starting
like-
next week and a half worth.
Seems like some of the kids, we usually don't see it till typically the day after Christmas.
Exactly, that's the big travel day,
Mhm.
yeah.
Day after Christmas.
Which is a Thursday, so it'll be Thursday through a week and a half, right, to the
If they
following
stay,
Monday.
I mean, I don't know if people will stay past the first, it's awkward.
I see,
thing.
I see, right.
I
It
don't know.
varies,
Yeah,
Yeah, we're trying to staff appropriately for those,
Mhm.
for the
Higher.
vacation weeks and the weekends.
Any hockey coming in now that we're getting close to this, or we,
I don't know, maybe, I don't think there's.
Any this- 'cause they usually-
I don't, yeah, usually they'll.
this time of
they
year,
take a couple weeks off.
take a couple
but
weeks off,
probably-
right.
Our one issue is the CT scanner is down at Spear. So if we do have any, significant trauma cases, we're gonna be considering either flying them or we'll be transferring them to either Concord or Dartmouth ourselves.
Hmm.
So, we're hoping to get an update on that this afternoon.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
we'd rather not do that, but hopefully they can get it up and running, but we're kind of in mercy. What comes to that.
any questions about the report, or did you have something on Golden Heights you wanted to bring up, or you're good?
Nope. Nope.
Thank you, Chief.
Mhm.
Hello.
Hello.
Brooke, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, kind of slow for you too this year?
Well, yeah, we're actually really starting to pick up. This last weekend was very busy. I'm sure hockey has a bit to do with it. But we did see a pretty big increase. Usually we see that right before the holidays, but then as Wendy mentioned, we're very busy the 26th through the 1st. So we did see some good numbers this last weekend. We have our Santa calls, our famous Santa calls tonight.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
How many?
right now, last I heard, we're up to 4. So not enough people take advantage of this because
Oh.
it's really very cool.
It is
So
cool.
we've been trying to make some last minute push for it. We also have our Frosty Fun Night, which is our kind of local evening and PJs and all that. That's this Friday. So we've got some fun stuff coming up for the locals, and then of course we'll be jumping into the vacation week on the 26th, which, you know, is basically we're open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. that whole week with, you know, a couple of ice cream socials, dodgeball tournament, puzzle, kids night out. There's a rock climbing for many days. There's the blood drive that we're doing with the Historical Society.
Oh, we can mention the cardiac.
Yeah, laser tag. I'll let you talk about it. Laser tag. So anyway, we're just gonna be super busy and we're hoping for a ton of people coming in. The weather always sort of dictates what kind of week we have. If it's super snowy, we actually end up having a ton more people, which is the case, but when it's raining, we are also very busy. People are stuck here and they sort of have their reservations. So we'll see what happens. And, you know, that's pretty much all I have through the end of the year.
Any,
It's all that's all on my radar.
any questions from the board?
It's amazing all the stuff you guys have going on all the time.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is a lot. And we could do more if we had, there's more demand for certain programs, but we're not able to program the gym really anymore than it is. But anyway, yeah, why don't you talk about that?
The group, there was a,
Get the
you remember
name.
the name of the group, there's an organization that's offering free cardiac screenings in town and wanted to schedule a time. They visit, it's free of charge for everyone to participate. And I included Brooke on that to take advantage of maybe some programs that she had going, so
Yeah,
they need a small space and it takes 5 to 10 minutes to meet with people. They do like a quick little blood test and
yeah.
give you kind of like a profile or whether you're a high risk and some information.
So it's actually called
Season of high calories.
Dartmouth HVC Cares, which stands for Heart and Vascular Center Community Awareness Research and Education Saves Lives. So they come and do a screening, like Dave said, and they do it, 4 to 5 hours. So what I suggested to them was that maybe in a separate room, when the blood drive is happening, perhaps we could have that. It might be a little too close for them. They said in January sometime, and that's December 28th. So we'll try to make it work. But I do think that's a service. Those are the types of things I'm was really timely, because looking to try to schedule more things like that, each community can take advantage of. The problem becomes, do these services happen on Saturdays, because we can't really open up the multipurpose room and that stuff on, during the week.
Weekdays, yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I guess we'll report back if we can make that happen.
One quick thing.
Sure.
I did get an update for the grease trap. They got the wrong size in, so they had to send it back. And they expect to get it delivered next week. So,
And installed.
and installed.
All right. Thank you, Brooke.
Yeah.
Public Works, nothing going on there either, huh?
No, nothing at all.
Yeah.
Had quite a weird weather as of late. Not really plowing, just more salt and sand.
Mhm.
So we've been here at nights doing that, making sure roads aren't too slick for everybody in the morning when they're getting up. Our famous December storms, we did have little bit more water than was expected, even with the pond so low. Just rose a little too quickly. One side of the dam did activate. Been talking with the dam bureau on certain things, so we'll update you there a little later, but.
Still needs to be replaced,
The flashboard.
flashboard.
Will need to be replaced. The issue, I mean, it's a safety issue now to.
Right, to get the
Get
crew out there
crew
on
out
there.
onto the
Yeah.
dam, so we'll
That didn't
be working on.
So the dam bureau, when I was talking with them, I need to go back in our records to make sure that we are ordering the correct gauge of steel
Hmm,
for our pins, cause in what was proposed when we did all the renovations, to the dam, making sure that we have the right pins so they won't activate as often as the Dam Bureau believes. So we just have to make sure that they are the correct ones and that we are following what they told us needed to be done.
And that's the gauge steel,
Yeah.
the thickness.
Yeah.
Of
So they
the-
can't be that expensive. Should we order
No.
more than,
Oh, we do keep them on, order, but we may have ordered piping that's too thin. So we
That's why I
just need to,
activated.
and then it activates quicker. And then we have to do repairs and, the dam is set at the top of the concrete, basically then. So we need to make sure that we're using the correct
Right.
holes.
I know the pond's empty right now, but I don't know if we have signs up for ice. But, I mean, it's
There was
irrelevant
no
at the
ice.
moment, but,
Mud.
Right. Yeah, we
But-
do have thin ice signs that we can put up.
okay, let's just kind of keep track of
Oh,
that
yeah.
for
Yeah.
when we need them.
We usually do put them up at the beginning of the season regardless, because
yeah, it's
it
gonna,
fluctuates so
yeah.
much. And
Mhm.
and a lot of times they don't realize it's ice underneath, they think it's a field. We just don't know.
Right. The, speaking of the dam and ice, what's the status of the bubble situation?
We have a new cord in
Oh,
to
the old
try to
one?
make repairs on the old one, and I'll give you an update at the next meeting on that.
Okay, but there's no sense putting it now
No
because
sense in putting it in.
the flashboard is activated and
That's
it's
correct.
low.
Yeah.
It'd just be sitting in mud.
So we're not doing anything with it right now.
Another thing the Dam Bureau did say was that we needed to keep the pond slightly lower than we have been for the winters. Not necessarily below concrete, but at least slightly lower, just to give us a little more wiggle room.
Flexibility with the amount of rainstorms that we're getting now. It is an issue. So
We're getting snow tonight.
Yeah,
Supposedly,
that's down to an inch last I saw. I don't know what it is now,
we'll see.
not much, yeah.
So they want it lower, the water level kept lower in relation to the flashboards.
Yeah.
So if the pond itself were deeper, that would be fine, but it's a matter of the relation to the flashboards.
correct.
And is there any way to restructure how those flashboards are
No.
put on, like maybe hinged from the
They're
side or
designed-
something?
no,
Like,
they're
there's no-
designed-
Just a pop.
They're designed to work by folding down. It's a requirement of our dam design.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're following a certain protocol for how the
Yes.
dam operates.
Yes.
And that's what's allowed by the state,
That is correct.
period.
Our
I
permit.
looked at a few other dams that have flashboards like ours,
Yeah,
not necessarily here in New Hampshire, but across the United States, and they are the exact same as what we have. They just put another layer, a water protective layer, almost looks like blue board, but it's not blue board, in front, the water side where we have our plywood, so.
okay. So it's always a matter of walking and that treacherous concrete
Yes.
bottom to,
Would return the flash or put in.
yeah,
But it's the
And the pipe-
pins.
the
that you
pins,
have
right,
to
'cause
put
they-
in,
they-
that you
they
have to
go.
put in.
huh,
Mhm. So we will do it as soon as the weather
yeah,
allows
yeah.
us to get out there safely.
Of course,
We
Yeah.
do have harnesses and things like that we do
Yeah.
tie off to make sure that everybody is
I
safe.
would hope so,
but-
yeah, but still, that's a great way to take a fall.
and speaking of ice and that part of town square, any news on the walkway area, the bridge and village trail?
I think we're kind of status quo, right? They're billing us for any snow removal
Right.
and
I have a
We
legal
haven't-
update to give you.
Okay, all right, Just wonder if we got any comments from the public or what you've
No.
seen
Not that I've
going
seen.
across it.
It was pretty slick the other morning, but. I
This
put
type of weather we
micro
have
cleats are
too.
full. Yeah,
Yeah, can't do much with this weather.
Can't do much when it's 31,
Right,
30
And wet.
degrees
No,
and
yeah.
wet.
Yeah,
It's-
Sunday
and it's
and
not
Monday.
concrete.
I put
It's-
my
it's
truck
dirt, right,
sideways on Upper Mad River Road going home
yeah,
Tuesday, last night, no,
Yeah.
Monday. night.
Mm.
And it was wet here, but it was ice by the
Yeah.
time I got home
yeah.
and I missed a telephone pole by the hatch. I'm bringing the truck. It was fried.
anything else from Public Works?
Only other thing is, we will be moving, back to appointment only for brush. People have abused it again.
Oh, no.
There was a pretty significant tree stump, in the brush pile. So we will be moving back to appointment only. So they would have to call, even just for Wednesdays, you will have to call in order to, and.
You can
us-
supervise what's put in the brush pile.
Yes.
That's almost always been the way we've done it, right? At least in
No.
recent times.
So there's a maximum diameter, right? That
There
needs
is.
to be
5 inch.
5 inch, so. For anyone listening.
Yep.
5 inches.
5 inches in diameter and, 5. No, it's
Feet?
4 feet.
4 feet in length.
In length.
Anything else?
I noticed that we're getting more, when I drive into the transfer station, I'm getting acknowledgement from the people inside the building, which
Mhm.
I complained about a week ago, so thank you for that.
I'm glad they stopped ignoring you.
By me,
I'm glad they stopped ignoring you.
I got my Christmas hug from Dale.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes,
the
yes,
best
you
one.
guys saw him
Yeah.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully he didn't raise his arms up to,
He did, he
Thank
showed
you.
me.
No, no,
He's good.
no,
He's good.
He's good.
that's Dale.
Hey, so
Yeah,
in
everything's
our
fine.
discussions with DPW on budgets, I was reflecting on the discussions and wondered why we had the loader as part of operating budget versus a warrant item. Don't we usually do things like that as a warrant item?
The.
A new front end loader?
The backhoe.
The backhoe.
It is,
It's in the
in
CIP.
it's in the CIP. It'll be a separate warrant article.
Oh, will,
Yeah.
but it was in the operating budget as a,
The money
Reserve fund.
will be from taxes
right,
because it's a lease.
okay,
Yeah.
but
And
it'll still be a warrant item.
it'll still be its own. And even if we were bonding it, or even if we were paying cash, it still would be a separate warrant.
Okay,
article. Yeah.
all right, I just want to clarify that to myself.
Anything else for?
Yeah, I
Public
just
Works?
actually reflecting made me think, the road reflectors, at one point you talked about installing road reflectors for when we don't have,
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah,
I had never heard back from the company, so I'm looking at some local contractors to be able to
Okay.
do it and us just order the stuff instead of having the actual company come and install them.
okay. Okay, thank you.
okay.
Thought about that, 2 months ago, I was like, oh, need to get on that. So,
Yeah,
Steve, Administrative Services?
Thank you. So as we saw earlier in the meeting, we're saying goodbye to Sharon and thanking her tonight. And in transition, welcoming Kristen to the Administrative Services team. Kristen comes to us with some experience as a town clerk, as experience in the supervisor of the checklist role for the town that she lives in as well. She has been hip to hip with Sharon now for about a week. We had a little bit of a disruption in that training due to the fact that our flooring installers took about 4 days longer than we had hoped. Which I apologize to the residents of the town who wanted to do some transactions early last week where we had to unfortunately close unexpectedly for a few extra days, so. But besides that, the training I think has been going pretty smoothly this week. The one area of focus today that Sharon was working on with Kristen was to get the motor vehicle renewal notices out in the mail for those who are expiring in the month of January. So anyone who has a motor vehicle renewal, registration renewal coming up in January keep an eye out in the mail for that notice, as a courtesy. We have now moved on to our next project in administration, and that will be to transition our analog phone system that we have had installed in town hall for many, many years to a voice over IP phone system, which will, I think, one of the biggest benefits internally, it will allow us to communicate very easily amongst all of our departments. Whereas now, if we want to talk to Brooke, our friends in the rec department, we have to pick up the phone and dial the rec department's actual number. Now, with us all linked in, it will just be the matter of hitting an
An
extension.
intercom
Right, right.
So you could transfer calls.
and
Right.
transfer
Yeah, I mean, that's
calls.
the big one,
Yeah.
right? For the rec, instead of giving them a phone number that they have to call.
Mm,
So where I'm at now with that project is I've deployed about 60% of the phones out into our various departments, just trying to test the hardware to make sure that what they gave us actually works and is able to communicate on our individual networks. And we're hoping, Mark suggested a target timeline in the 3rd week of January to port the numbers over to the new system and actually go live. I think the only potential disruption that we'll see with this new configuration is that if the town does lose internet for one reason or the other, we'll lose
It
phone
goes down,
services.
right?
That's really the only negative that I can foresee right now.
And that'll have to be the actual internet itself. If we just lose electricity, and still have available internet service, we'll still have the phones because we have a generator.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
but if the network is interrupted, that'll be the issue.
Is there a backup phone then, like say for the?
Well, public safety
department?
is through Grafton County dial 911 or their business line, and you'll still be able to get through.
Okay,
And I believe the recreation department won't be affected by that, right? Internet piece,
You would,
we would.
yeah, if the school loses internet, our phones would go down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the school loses internet. so
You're
there's two
different.
separate-
There's two
yeah.
separate
So it's
internet
possible that
accesses.
we would have
So,
it and you wouldn't.
right,
Vice versa,
and
yeah.
vice versa,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything else?
Outside of that, that's about it, outside of
Okay.
the financial report, if there's any other questions.
All right, we'll get to that. Any questions for administrative services? Municipal services.
So,
Hi, Dylan.
hello. So guys have been making sure all of our hydrants are,
Mm,
we have some hydrants in town, a little bit of background information that are non-draining, just the kind of a era of their different eras that the town's been developed. The state's gone back and forth multiple times on which is more sanitary, draining versus non-draining. So anyway, whenever a hydrant is utilized that's non-draining, it has to physically be pumped out. Or else what will happen is water inside of that barrel or the riser will freeze, break the hydrant. Therefore,
Maybe
anyhow,
we don't have one.
yeah, exactly. And somehow it sometimes make water main breaks as well, because that the valve that seats can break. Anyway. Weather in the forecast is looking like it's gonna be rough on our water system, so hopefully, fingers crossed. That's
Mm.
not the case. We have no snow to protect anything in the ground. So, we got some single digits.
Really cold weather coming up this
Yeah,
weekend.
really,
Yeah.
really cold.
And, looks like some wind mixed in there, so below zero and no snow cover is gonna be rough. So hopefully we don't have any issues, but try to always prepare for the worst and hope for the best type thing. But other than that, just business as usual and getting ready for the busy season. So.
I'd like to thank Dylan and his crew for all their work on the hydrants, this past summer, fall. Getting them color coded and painted and flushed and all that. And thank you, very much appreciated.
It's one of those things that's a necessary evil to make sure the hydrants are in good operation and make sure they're in good condition. That way, when they're needed to be used, they will work.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah.
Great.
So unless you have any questions.
Yeah. Any questions for Dylan?
Nope.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
-7 on Monday morning.
It's still kind of minus,
Air
yeah,
temperature.
right?
ooh,
Do you want to do the coalition community up now? I just want to roll through some of the other
Let's
things.
roll through the
and
others.
save
Let's
that.
save that for the. last.
Okay, so
You guys are all
approval
set.
of minutes?
Wait,
Oh.
can we just do one?
Oh, sure.
one,
Yep.
Calendar item before the department heads leave?
Sure.
January 3rd, 9 AM. We're
Right.
gonna, January 3rd at 9 AM, we're gonna do hopefully the final budget review. And as part of that, by the end of this week, we will provide you with electronic and hard copy of all the
Decisions we made to
revised
spend money,
budget.
right?
Yeah.
See what it totals up to.
So that you can look that over next week.
Right.
And then after the holiday, but if
Good Christmas Eve
department
reading.
heads could put that on your, it'll be in here.
9 o'clock on the
9
3rd of
o'clock on the
January.
Okay,
Another crack at it. Maybe hopefully the
Good.
last crack at
Yeah.
it.
that's all I
Okay.
had for department heads.
All right. Approval of minutes, are we good? I don't
The
see
20th,
Sharon
yeah, the
here.
20th, she sent out a revised.
That was the one we read yesterday,
The
right?
20th,
The
yes.
20th, right?
Yep, you gave her the comment.
We gave
She
the
made
comment.
the edits.
All right.
She sent you version
very good.
2.
Yep.
Motion, anybody
Um,
to
What was the
approve
date?
the 11/20?
November
24.
20th.
I'll make a motion to approve the 11/20 regular meeting minutes as amended.
Second,
All in favor?
uh,
Aye. All right. Let's move on to the financial reports.
Yeah, I provided you with the revenues, expenses year to date. In the packet. As I just said, we're still making the modifications to the all the changes that we did with the departmental discussions for that for the 2025 budget. Any questions on the reports that I provided in the packets? We're tracking what we had, if you remember, we did some projections early in November and we're tracking where
Getting,
it's
Is that
getting
that
close.
20 to 30,000?
yeah, with the unexpected, well, the snowfall and the overtime associated with
Yeah.
plowing, it's getting tighter, but we're still, I'd say a $60,000 variance.
$60,000 to go and.
Plus some revenues.
Right, and revenues to
Yeah.
add to the mix.
And it will really depend a lot on what rec does. I mean, they usually make anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 this coming week. So,
Plug that in.
And Wendy, from a formatting standpoint, I was able to add a column that displays a dollar amount for the
Right.
available balance.
Yeah,
And then just this morning, I talked with a representative from BSNA, and I found out how to eliminate the 3 lines, all that repetitiveness.
nice.
so you're gonna get just one.
The one line for each item.
Streamlining,
Yeah,
very nice.
sorry I wasn't available for this meeting.
No, that's fine.
All right, we're getting there. It is a new system after all.
But numbers good,
Yeah, I had
Okay.
nothing further. Do you have anything, Bob? Wendy, nothing?
No.
All right. So much for the financial report, year-end estimates. Let's go on to calendar review. So planning board special meeting, actually, it's a public hearing, no?
it is a public hearing.
Planning board public hearing on the 6th of January, 2025. There are this is discussed.
Two remaining.
Proposed zoning amendments that the planning board has yet to determine whether to move them forward or not.
Have they been addressed at the last public hearing?
Yeah,
They're sticking. with those
There
two?
there were some changes made to both that required us to have another.
Okay.
so what
Public
are the
hearing.
two, very briefly?
Now what are the two?
The zoning
There's
map,
the zoning map is one
the
change.
rezoning. the
Rezoning
rec
the
land,
rec to
LDR.
LDR.
That's right here, right?
No.
That's up on
it's
Craig's-
Up by Craig's
Oh,
property.
oh,
yeah.
okay.
That strip in there,
between-
I got
Moose
it.
Run
I got it,
and, yeah, Snows Mountain. And the other one was steep?
The, no,
Slopes? No.
So amendment 2.
Thank
is
you.
The amendment that addresses the construction trailers and temporary.
Oh, the parking,
Vehicles.
quote unquote parking man, we still have to finish up on that.
Correct.
Right.
And then amendment 3 was the steep slopes.
That's on there, right?
so there's 3.
and
There's
amendment-
3,
And
right.
amendment 6 covers the,
right?
what Mark had just mentioned.
And the steep slopes, as I understand it, got changed to be,
Oh, significant.
so the stormwater would be no worse after as it is before.
Yeah, so they took out the provision of the total being above 25%.
Yeah.
Removed that and then based it on stormwater post-construction.
Yeah.
Equaling or being less than pre-construction.
Right, which would require an engineering.
An engineering study,
stamp.
yeah,
How did the meetings with SE Group go? Is that,
very well. We're
Mhm.
there, we're just waiting for them to provide us with proposal
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah, I mean, it was extremely good meeting and, the planning board, I think. Will be fine with moving forward with them, depending upon what their proposal is. The issue for us will be the cost.
Yeah,
So we'll have to see
Yeah.
what that turns out to be, but hopefully, when did they say they were gonna get it to us? I'm
Next
trying to
week,
remember
I
now.
think.
It was
Year end.
year end, so,
but they know the budget that we've been working
Yes.
within.
Yeah,
Okay.
12,000, I shared that with Mark. That was our number in the planning board.
Okay.
Line item,
That was 10.
10, sorry.
Yeah, it's
10.
okay.
so is Tara gonna stay available until?
Yeah, she
until
yeah,
we
we'll
make a
have
dec-
a,
They make a decision?
She has provided John with an extension amendment. He's just gotta get back to me about it.
she'll stay with us through town meeting.
Through
Uh,
March 31st.
March 31st, right?
Okay.
All right, so even after town meeting a little bit, but town meeting's late this year too. It's like the 11th, I think. 11,
Yeah, 12.
11 or 12th of March, so, yeah, and to finish up on all these amendments and the site plan review regulations and whatever else we might need it
Yeah.
for, I think, yeah, anything that comes forward.
There's
review.
there's one planning board meeting, the Thursday after town meeting.
Yes, that's on
That should be
here,
the only thing that
right,
she will need to do.
Right.
In March.
okay. And speaking of planning board meetings, their next regular meeting's on the 9th at 8 AM. And that's the meeting that the planning board will have to determine what to do with those 3 zoning amendments, whether to move them forward, all of them, one of them, 2 and 3 of them, or none of
Sure.
them. So that has to be done by the 9th. Our next regular board meeting is on the 8th of January at 3 PM. So we're gonna have a 3-week hiatus here. As far as regular meetings are
I was
concerned,
gonna say.
but we will have our special meeting, 2.5 weeks. Go over the budget. Other special meetings, I see, we'll potentially be able to meet with,
Yeah, Brooke is
Brooke
not
Brown.
available, Brooke Brown is not available the 8th or the 22nd, so. We're proposing to do that the 15th with her and have that as a single agenda item. And we can do it by Zoom
okay,
On the
whatever,
15th?
on
yeah,
the 15th.
whatever she's comfortable with. I mean, it'd be nice to have her in
As
the
long as
room.
2 of you are here, one of you can be on Zoom even.
Right.
So whatever works for your
So-
schedules.
We ought to have ahead of time a list of what we're gonna talk to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
I'll
about.
get you a list.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a list
Mhm.
that's in the email when we initially requested her to come in. So there are 6 items on
Oh,
the
okay.
Yeah, but we can
email.
break that out.
That
as
was the
separate
beginning, but
Agenda.
I can break that out into an agenda
agenda, yeah.
for discussion.
And also that week, the next day, 16th of January will be a joint
Agenda.
school board meeting. The school board will be hosting it at in the multipurpose room, I imagine. And that's at 3 PM. So if there's anything you want to include on the agenda, we need to move that forward. I think the main thing we plan to talk about will be CIP and budget issues, right?
Mhm.
Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? Think about it and we'll add it to
They don't wanna talk about the use of.
Yeah,
gym,
yeah.
Right,
no, they do not.
okay.
Be a quick meeting. But it's nice to have it anyway. Alrighty, so we could do the coalition communities now or just go boards and concerns and
When school get out?
She'll be here around 12:50, so we have about a half an hour, so we could do the non-public session.
Mhm.
Now, I don't think non-public is necessary for a legal update. And,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, well, why don't we do that now, then we can come back, well, does anybody have any board concerns and directives?
How are we doing with town treasurer?
Oh, town treasurer went very well. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we met with the interested person by the name of Robert Nagel.
Who?
Robert Nagel.
Lives in Thornton, currently on the board at BBTS, or is it?
No, the,
Academy.
Keep drawing a blank.
We'll get it right.
the adaptive. And he works on ski patrol and everything up at the mountain.
So we're talking about town treasurer?
Yes,
Correct.
town treasurer. He has experience as a nonprofit treasurer, banking experience, really everything that we need to fulfill the roles of.
He doesn't have to be a
treasurer.
town resident?
He does not. It's an appointed position, so you can appoint anyone
Okay.
So we should do that.
whenever
Now?
you want. Our recommendation is that you appoint him.
Yeah,
I'd like to get some time with he and Jeff to do some transition.
yeah, we better do the appointment now
And-
then.
Is-
I'm
is-
fine with
Is
that.
Judy public knowledge?
I'm sorry,
Is Judy leaving public knowledge?
it is now.
Let's move with the Nagel. What's his
Yeah.
full name?
Robert.
Robert Nagel. So I will,
And sorry,
ahead.
everyone's
Yeah.
met and interacted with, I'm just.
Yeah, we
You've
will have to
interviewed
introduce him to the rest of the staff, but he's familiar with a lot of people here in town, a lot of.
Okay.
right, but the interview went
he's-
fine.
The interview went great. He's
Said he's
very
regularly available.
regularly available
He's
in the
in
times
town
when
very
he.
often.
Yeah.
I did tell him that we have the, remote capabilities now, if he would like to look over our weekly check manifest with our invoices. If he's not able to come into town due to inclement weather or whatnot, we can send that to him for approval. And he said he would prefer to be here, which I prefer as well, so.
Yeah, and the nice thing is he has experience with banking and setting up bank accounts and doing reconciliations and that sort of thing. We did talk about the possibility of putting our banking services out to bid. They have not been out to bid in a long time. He has experience with a couple of local banks, so he really fits a lot of our.
Why is he interested?
Yeah,
I mean, somebody
he-
doesn't pay much,
he
he's
was
from out
on
of
it.
town.
He was on a community call. He's very community oriented to Waterville Valley because of his
Mhm.
participation in the adaptives and with the ski area.
Hmm.
He's been here for years. And he volunteered, so
Well.
we were happy to talk to him. Nice guy, and
okay.
I think he'll be a really
Alright.
good fit.
So I'll make the motion to appoint him as town treasurer beginning 1 January 2025. Do I have a second?
No second,
All in favor?
right?
Right,
Anything else, board concerns and directives? I see we have the updated.
I did not get you the updated list. There wasn't a lot, there weren't any changes on the actual status of what is ongoing. And I'll give you an update on one of those ongoing big projects here in a second.
Okay. Great. That really takes care of everything except the coalition communities update. We want
Yeah,
to
I
do the
mean, I can take
non-public.
5 minutes. No, we did not.
Okay, go
We
ahead.
didn't do a whole lot. I had provided you with a packet of information.
Yep.
In the memo. The bottom line is we are tracking the legislative. They're like placeholders. They're just a title of a proposed bill
Oh,
that a member of the House or of the Senate can submit these. They kind of keep
Mhm.
their place. They are fleshing out the actual bills that go with those
Mhm.
titles. And then between now and I believe it's January 6th, Thursday, the 6th, or whatever that date is. I don't have a calendar. so-
Thursday's the 7th, so.
Thursday's the 7th. So by January 7th, they have to provide language to go with those titles. And then by the 10th, the committees will have the bills assigned to them and start the process of hearings and things like that. We are tracking right now about 35 bills or so.
Yeah, long list.
There's a long list and many of them address a return to donor community status. The bills are coming from both parties, which we have never had to deal with before.
Hmm.
But
Not a good
Uh,
sign.
it's not a good sign.
Is
So
Bruce Berkey the one that,
Bruce Berkey tracks it with us, yeah. So that is a major piece. We're getting ready for the session to begin mid-January.
Yeah.
Um,
And everybody's waiting for the Supreme Court to.
and then everybody's waiting for the Supreme Court and the timing may be at around the same time. We're
Mhm.
expecting middle to end of January maybe as a ruling from the Supreme Court on our appeal. They have heard the Conval case in addition to the Rand case. So they now have before them the increase in the adequate education number from the 4,000 number to the $7,000 number. The lists that I gave you of potential donor communities, the shorter one is based on that increase to 7,000, or no, I'm sorry. The shorter one is the keeping it at $4,000. Even then, some towns get added to donor communities status. And then the second longer one goes up to 61 communities. Would potentially be donor communities if the number goes up to the 7,300 number. So
is there any concern that there were only 3 Supreme Court justices listening to those things?
well,
Is that it?
3 of them heard the arguments in
Right.
person. Another justice listened to the presentation.
Okay, the other one.
4 of them
Yeah.
will be ruling.
Okay.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, they have one on administrative
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
So.
Hmm.
I had mentioned to Rich that this might be a good time because now we're crossing party lines with the introduction of some of these bills.
Mhm.
We now have 2, we have an education committee that deals with the education administration side.
Mhm.
And then there is a new standing committee in the House that is just education finance. So these bills are gonna get a lot more scrutiny than they were getting before. And I had mentioned to Rich the possibility of getting elected officials to participate more in this process. And I really think that needs to come from you as the elected officials and not from me to, I do not have the same
Mhm.
meaning when I talk to people as a manager that you could potentially have as elected folks, talking to elected officials. So you should, I think, should talk about that, however you want to do that. But I'd be willing to answer any questions that you might have. So that's
Okay.
just an idea.
Okay.
That's the
Anything else?
coalition update, and I did it in 4 minutes, so that's good.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and move, there's no correspondence. I
No,
think.
there's no correspondence,
So that will
and we
finish
could
except
do
for-
this. We might be able to do it in the 15 minutes here.
Yeah, well, I think Bob also had a,
Okay, yeah.
so let's go ahead and, I'll accept the motion to move into non-public
So moved.
For legal reasons, right?
for legal reasons, all in favor?
Right?
Right.
Aye, Wendy second in that, so we'll wait until we get the word that they are off recording. You said you have one item, and I think you said one item.